Hello again, I'm John Terzak, and this lesson is about how to make a crayfish sauce. It's a very traditional French-style sauce, the way we're going to make it. The ingredients are a cup of crayfish. These are just barely cooked and shelled. I bought these frozen in a 1-pound package, which is what I recommend you do. A cup of mirepoix, celery, carrots, and onions. 2 to 3 ounces of whole soft butter, some chicken stock, some white wine, some brandy, about 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of garlic, and 1/4 cup of tomato concassé. We're going to start by putting the butter in a hot pan. And we're going to add the mirepoix to that. And we're going to put a pinch of dried leaf thyme in here. And we're going to put a little bit of black pepper in here. And a little bit of salt, knowing that we can adjust all these seasonings when we get to the final seasoning part of the sauce. And we're going to put the garlic in here. Now you can make a lobster sauce the same way, or shrimp sauce, by substituting lobster or shrimp for the crayfish. Crayfish goes in. We're probably making, in the final analysis, we're probably making 2.5 to 3 cups of sauce. Now we're going to flame this with about 2.5 to 3 ounces of brandy. Which you need a lighter for, by the way. So we'll let that brandy burn off a little bit. Doesn't have to burn off 100% of the way. Now I'm going to add that 1/4 cup of tomato concassé, which you have a video for, of course. And I'm going to add about a cup of dry white wine. And we're going to fast forward this now for 3 or 4 minutes while the white wine reduces. When the white wine gets through reducing, we'll add the chicken stock, simmer it for a while, puree it, strain it, put it back on the stove, and finish it. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes. It's been 10 minutes I've been reducing the white wine. And as you can see, it's quasi-dry. Now we're going to add the 3 cups of chicken stock. Let's put it all in there. We're going to let that simmer for about ½ an hour. Then we're going to puree it. So we're fast forwarding for 30 more minutes. Okay, it's been simmering 30 minutes, just like I said. And let's pour it into this. Hopefully this container will be a good size for this. We'll see in a minute. So I'm going to puree this with that blender stick, or magic wand as we sometimes call them. I'm going to have to do this carefully so I don't spray this on myself. So first we're going to puree this. I'm going to extract all of whatever's in there and turn it into the body of this sauce, which is what it's becoming before our eyes right now, and will be throughout this finishing process. Again, like I said earlier on, if you want to make lobster sauce or shrimp sauce, or oyster sauce for that matter, you just use those items instead of the crayfish and you'll have yourself a good sauce. Okay, I think that's pureed enough for me. Now I'm going to strain this through my fine sieve here. Get a slightly bigger ladle here. So that is what's left from that mixture that we pureed and strained, okay? That, I would normally discard that. Now, what we have is a juice that is more or less the essence of the crayfish with the mirepoix, the brandy, and the white wine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce, about a cup of cream, because we're going to add this cream is going to be part of the sauce. So we're going to fast forward the reduction of about that cup of cream. Then we're going to add this juice to the reduced cream. Then we're going to tighten the mixture up with a little pinch of cornstarch. You're going to finish it with some butter and possibly some cayenne pepper, and that's it. It's going to be done. And I'm going to put it on a plate for you to show you what it looks like on a plate. So we're fast forwarding while we reduce the cream. All right, the cream is reduced down to sauce consistency. And I originally had predicted we're going to have about 2 or 3 cups of sauce. So now we've got the crayfish, the strained crayfish juice in there. Let's put that on the fire. And I'm going to bring that up to a simmer for a second. And I'm going to add a little bit of dry sherry to this right now. I'm going to throw 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces, 2.5 ounces. You put in the amount you want it to taste like. Let's bring this up to a simmer for a second, and then we'll tighten it up. It came to a simmer, and I changed the saucepan because it looked like it was getting ready to boil over. Now it's like rapid boil, so I'm going to take a little bit of, I got a couple tablespoons of cornstarch here, mixed with some cold water. See what that does. We're tightening this up. Now I could have reduced this stock even before I added to the cream more if I wanted a more concentrated flavor, but I was satisfied with what it tasted like. So I didn't think it needed to be any more concentrated. So I'm putting a little bit more cornstarch in there again now. Okay, I think I got enough. I think I ended up with about 1.5 tablespoons total of cornstarch in there. Let's turn this down for a minute. All right, let's let that simmer for 5-7 minutes until it gets to be where I think is the perfect texture for me to add a little bit of whole butter to it, and then I'll show you what it looks like on a plate as a finished sauce, and we'll adjust and taste the final seasoning also. So let's let it simmer for about 5 more minutes. Simmered for 3 or 4 more minutes, and I think it's right where it needs to be. And I will remind you that I do not have a tendency to make sauces thick. This is, some people might consider this to be moderately thin, but we'll see what it all looks like on the plate. I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper to this, or as they used to say on TV, some cayenne pepper, and then we'll add about 1.5 ounces whole unsalted butter to kind of mellow this out. It will enrich it slightly. We'll give it a taste and see if this needs any salt, which is the only thing it's going to need. Now, you could have, or I could have, added port wine, Madeira. Mainly those would be the 2 things I would add, besides sherry, which is what I did add. This sauce is good, and it needs a little bit of salt. Now, could I put chopped crayfish in this sauce for garnish? Absolutely. Could I put whole, small, shelled pieces of crayfish? Can I garnish the plate that this sauce is put on with a small, whole, Red crayfish, yes, absolutely. But this is about making the sauce. That's what this lesson is. So let's put this sauce on a plate. Let's take a closer look at the texture there. There you go. See how that coats that plate? See, to me, this is my idea of how thick the sauce should be. So there you have it. Traditional style French crayfish sauce that can be converted to oyster or lobster. Enjoy it.